Welcome to this week's episode of Merricks Garage. You know what I'm doing. I'm building a truck, but it is almost finished, and I am super stoked. I can't wait to drive this thing. I'm going to be at King of the Hammers. I'm not sure how many of you guys are going, but I'd love to do a meet and greet and show you guys this thing in person. So it's hammer down to Hammertown still. I got a lot of work to get done, but I've got a lot done. I want to show it to you guys. So let's go, Merricks Garage. So for some reason, the hub has stripped out a bunch of threads that hold the axle on. So I'm helicoiling them, which isn't always the best idea. I don't know why. That's what the internet says, so I go with it. But helicoil really seems like my only choice right now. You're supposed to drill it out with a 33/64, which is just slightly larger than a ½ inch. I don't have that, so I'm going to go with a ½ inch. But let me show you what's happening. It's kind of odd. These are supposed to be tightened down to 100 foot-pounds, which seems like a lot, but that's holding the axle on. Some of these are great. Some of them, man, the threads are just all falling apart. So the way the helicoil works is I've got to tap the threads with this guy and then go back in with the helicoil threads. So let's drill these, and then I'll show you the insertion of the helicoils. So do you guys see in there? They just don't look healthy. This one in particular. These are threads that are in there. So let's get those out. One down, one to go. So they work really cool. They've got a... So this is the helicoil right there. It's just a threaded insert that basically you drive it down into the device, into the hole that you've made. And as you drive it down, it lengthens, and the spring, the natural spring to it, pushes it up against the walls and holds it in there. So I've drilled out one and it went in. I got two more to do. Unfortunately, I don't have a tap handle this big, so I gotta do it with this, which isn't ideal. I don't like doing this because you can't guarantee you're getting it in straight. Whenever you're doing a tap, take your time. Let the tap find itself and let the tap do the work. So this is the driving tang right there that gets captured on here. So make sure you put it in this way. This guy is just gonna thread on just like so. And you see how it's kind of loose on here? Well, as I turn it, it's gonna get sprung. And you'll see here. Boom. Let's put the side back together. I do tend to geek out on stuff, but I love this stuff. Just being able to visually see that stuff is tight, oh, it's awesome. It's all about gusseting today. I've got to get A bunch of stuff burned in. Let me show you where I'm at right now. I've put in a bunch of plate already. I'm pretty happy with how it's come out. I've actually got some welds that I don't have to grind up. But let's not take a look at this side, because this side's horrible. But I'm building some template pieces here for some specific cuts I've got to make. And that's when this this swag table comes in really handy. So yeah, make it a little bit big so I have some room to work with. Let's cut this guy. Okay, much like everything else on this truck, this is for sure handmade. And you can see when you see like the edges aren't perfect, they're not laser cut, they're cut with a bandsaw. But this is pretty sweet. This is what the bandsaw just cut out. This guy right here, which is gonna be right there. It's pretty sweet. It's a nice little cut. So this is the final support piece I'm putting in. I think, let's get this burned in. You'd think I'd be getting the hang of these dirty drag out knife fights with rusty screwdrivers. But I still get beat down. This is all in. It's ugly, but whatever, it's freaking strong. That's all that really matters. So I'm gonna just blast it real quick with one coat, because I want to see how it looks painted. We got a lot to catch up on here, you guys. Paint. I painted this, it's had a couple coats now, and it looks awesome. I'm really stoked on this steel. It just, that satin black is just awesome. Painted all up here. I did a bunch of I'm painting everything basically. I mean, if it's metal, I might as well paint it, right? Yeah, this stuff looks great. I've also painted the axle. I've boxed in my my shock mounts. This is coming back down. I picked up a bunch of new hardware to bolt everything together. This right here is a hidden cost that people don't often anticipate. It comes with all the hardware you need. I mean, these are the bolts it comes with, but like an idiot, I take them in and out so many times that I'll often damage them. So I just picked up some spares. Yeah, lots of spares. And then the other thing I've got to do is these are going to be my differential bolts, because now that I have shaved the 14 bolt, here, the flange on this bolt hangs down below my diff and would get hung up and ripped off. So I replaced it with these that have no flange. These things aren't under that much torque. 35 foot-pounds is all they really need, so these should be fine. There's some paint. First, I gotta prep this surface. I'm gonna do the outside frame rails right now. So gonna hit it with some 35 grit DA paper, and then hit it with the Steelit, which, yeah, comes out great. Okay, let's get dirty. Dirtier. This has been hit with the grit. It's been wiped down with acetone. Let's do this. These guys are gonna help me install these shocks for what I think might be one of the final times in here, because everything's been painted. But I just thought I would put the camera here so I can film them helping me. And let's see how much help they actually are capable of being.
Yeah.
Okay, here comes...
Do you really think that's gonna fit?
You got it?
Got it?
Okay,
Line it
careful. okay? Go, go, go. And
Oh, it's stuck right there.
hold your horses, everyone. I know. It's looking like I'm finished, isn't it? Well, no gas tank just yet. Got some ideas for that. No drive line. I'm still painting. Got to finish up the brake bleed. But I'm very close. I got my my rock lights tied in. What I've decided to do with the rock lights is just use these cheapies. Let me get back on there. Use these cheap guys that are like 20 bucks for a pair or something stupid like that. I'll save that conversation for another time. I don't have the greatest experience with these things, but they're so cheap that I've wired them so it's just a pigtail out that I can just pop these guys in and out. I'm gonna have two pointing down this way, and then obviously, I don't know if you guys can see over there, I've got another one bung welded on that's gonna be for them pointing this way. Loving this satin black on the steel. It just is a gorgeous black. I'm not sure. Let's go out in the sun where you can see it better. Axle, we're all boxed in. This is welded on the inside. I didn't weld the outside, it's welded on the inside. And chamfered a little bit to fit that guy. Got to spray this one more time. Got to rebuild some of these joints. Yeah, we'll be cooking. But, oh man. I'll come back to that in a second. I had to clean this up a little bit, but you get the idea with this gusset. I put one on the other side too. Yeah, it just links the whole structure together and triangulates some of the forces. Well, not triangulates the forces, but yeah. I got a lot done. I got the drive shaft on its way back. I've got some new straps for the gas tank showing up probably today that I'm gonna just build a quick mount for. What else? Then I'm gonna be putting the gas tank in and the skid plate in, plumbing it, firing this thing up. I do have to finish stitching the frame together over on the driver's side. It's mostly done. It just needs to be really done. Clearance the cross member for the drive shaft. I think that's it. Oh, and wiring, finish up wiring. So this is where the tire was rubbing, right there. So if you take a look behind here, I can come up pretty high. And if you follow this line all the way around, it actually is going to bring me, I'm just going to make this level with this. Been banging out a lot of stuff this episode, as you guys could see. I still got quite a bit to do. Let me go through the list with you so you guys can see where I stand. It's not as bad as it looks. It looks bad. It does look bad. But let's just break it down real quick. I'm just going to blast through this. I got to tie the cage to the frame in the rear. I've got to connect the harness in the front. I've got to build a wiring harness for the rock lights. Got to put the gas tank in, put the rear brake lines back in. I got to swap the brake lines up at the master cylinder, run wiring for the fuel pump, run fuel pump electrical, and not only wiring but also plumbing. I've got to put that floor hatch in. I got to fix my ride height, bleed the brakes, hook up the reverse light switch, gusset one of the hoop that mounts the frame up front, clearance the cross member so my drive shaft will fit, make sure my pinion angle is good, get the exhaust done, trim the rear quarter panel on the passenger side, fill the differential with fluid, tighten and lube all of the joints, paint the truss and the links again, stitch the frame to the new frame on the driver's side, secure the brake line up front, bolt down all the body mounts that I have left, tighten all the shocks and bumps, and torque the wheels. It's not that bad, right? Not compared to what I've done. And I've got, what, 10 days? 12 days? 2 weeks? Whew. We'll see you next week. Merricks Garage.